now. Okay.
Okay.
So a little bit about our school. We are genuinely a multicultural, multilingual community. So this is our second year, coming towards the end of our second year. We already have 60 plus nationalities amongst our student population. Although the figure is a little misleading, it's actually probably more than that, because when we ask our children, what's your nationality? These kids will pause, because a lot of them have mum from one country, dad from another country, they were born in a different country. So the question, what nationality are you, is almost meaningless to a lot of these children. They're very much global citizens. And because of that, international mindedness is a key feature of everything we do here. We welcome children from all over the world, and we also embrace what they bring to us as a different cultural human being. The International Baccalaureate, which is the curriculum framework that we operate within, their mission statement also talks about international mindedness. And the aim of the IB, which is very similar to our own aim, is to help develop caring global citizens who will make a positive difference in the world. And it sounds quite twee, but we're absolutely deadly serious about this. We believe that, you know, the future leaders of the world are actually sat in our classrooms here. And we see some, you know, outside of this country, more global, we see some very poor examples of leadership, particularly at the moment in different countries. And that can sort of dismay us a little bit. But when we look in our classrooms here at Fairgreen, you know, we're optimists. We see some wonderful young human beings who will make a difference. We teach Arabic and French as our languages, but we also have a very quickly growing mother tongue program, native language program. So at the moment we have native languages after school. We have Dutch, German, Turkish and Danish, and we probably will double that this year as well, based on parent needs. So if we get a group of, say, 10 Spanish children together, then we'll open up those classrooms as well. So we do believe in the research, which is a strong mother tongue supports a strong second language. So this is very much in our DNA too. Okay. I really wish we could show you around the campus today, because you would see this in a completely different sense. Sustainability, as Dave said, is a big part of what we do here. And part of that is an urban farming program. So the urban farming program consists of what we call tower gardens. These tower gardens are aeroponic technology. So it's plants and herbs growing without soil. And at the moment we have an urban farming lab where 4 of our tower gardens are there. So we grow all sorts of different vegetables and herbs and fruits. We also have tower gardens scattered around the school. So for example, if I'm a grade 2 teacher and my unit of inquiry on my topic is anything to do with growth, then I will request a tower garden that will appear in my classroom, and the children start growing their own produce there as well. What's really nice is to see this in kindergarten, because we often see the children just walking along the corridors and ripping bits of lettuce off and chewing it. So they have a little pathway where they graze, which is really nice to see. The school is also fully powered by solar energy. And recently in this lockdown, we've been actually selling electricity back to the grid. That's the first time we've produced more than 100% of what our needs were. Obviously, when we're back on campus, the needs go up as well. But as well as being solar powered, we're also very conscious of how much energy we conserve and how much energy we waste as well, and we try and reduce that. Sustainability itself, in its 3 forms, social, economic, and environmental, is woven right through the curriculum, right from our very youngest children to our oldest, and that's something that we're very proud of. We hope that Fairgreen won't be a unique school in the future, because we hope that most schools operate in this way, because it's it's just ethically the right thing to do. We also have a program called Million Solar Stars, where children learn about solar energy and different types of renewables, and they also scale that up. So next year, our plan is to take a group of students to Kenya, to a rural village in Kenya, and help students there learn about solar and actually build solar panels and solar capabilities in schools as well. So again, something that our children are very passionate about from a very young age. And we do know also that in this sort of crazy times we're living in, one of the industry growth sectors is the green industry. And although we're not saying that all of our children have to go into sustainability industries when they're older, we do expect and hope them all to look at life and the world through a sustainable lens. The key word here at Fairgreen, more than any other, I would think, is care. And I think everybody who has children in the school will probably recognize that. We talk a lot about care for self, care for others, and care for our planet. And we're very passionate about that. And as teachers and leaders, we research about the science of care. We don't see care as this sort of abstract, fluffy phenomenon. We actually see it as integral to the learning process. And we know from research that students who feel cared for are actually better learners. So this is something that we integrate into everything we do. Social emotional learning, we have a program called Jigsaw, which is a key part of our curriculum. So it's actually physically planned into what we do, as well as integrated into just the way we do business here. We have a well-being hub. So we actually have a virtual one now, which is open to our parents and also our teachers, with vast range of well-being resources. But we have on campus here a well-being hub that's headed up by Jackie. Jackie is our head of counseling, and she's a very passionate mindfulness educator, very experienced mindfulness educator, as in fact is Matt, our primary principal. So mindfulness is a big part of what we do here. We don't do things in a non-authentic way. So when we teach mindfulness, it's in a very deep way. It's not a surface thing. It's not a box-ticking exercise. We do, again, use the science of mindfulness to give our children those periods of time out, disconnection from technology, and an ability to appreciate being in the moment. You can see our children here. They're actually in our PE kit. We have very active, fit students as well. We're fortunate that about 55% actually walk to campus or cycle or scooter to campus, which is, I guess, quite unusual here in Dubai. But our physical education and our after-school activities programs ensure that they're all very fit and healthy. And that even extends sort of into the cafeteria as well. We're always very well aware that not just social, emotional, and mental well-being, but physical well-being is so important to our children. And these are habits and attitudes that will actually extend with them throughout their life. So we know how important they are. This STEM and DEC, so STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths, and DEC is design, engineer, construct. DEC itself is a unique program. We're the first school in the Middle East to run this program. It originated from the UK, and it's a program that teaches students the skills of the built environment. So in other words, architecture, design, surveying, engineering, all those sort of skills. The program itself is an award-winning program, and we were very pleased to partner with a number of industries and universities, including Heriot-Watt University here in Dubai. We've had industry specialists come in and teach our children, as you can see, how to use the theodolite there. And this will prepare our students in quite a unique way to become passionate about those different fields of what we call it the built environment. There really is nowhere better in the world, I think, to discover and study architecture than in this amazing city of Dubai, which I guess must be an architect's playground. So this program runs from grades 8 to grade 10, and it will extend into 11 and 12 when we move into those grade levels as well. It gives kids an amazing opportunity to study architecture, but also in a sustainable way. Our STEM program actually grows from our youngest children. So even in sort of primary and PYP classes, our children are learning about the design cycle. And then as that moves into middle school and into high school, it becomes more complex. But it really is a fascinating program. And as I say, it's absolutely unique. We're very proud of it. And we're supported by many areas of industry, which also give a great opportunity in the future for internship programs for our kids as well. We are an award-winning school. We out of the, I think, almost 500 international schools in the UAE. We recently won an award for outstanding use of technology. I think, to be honest, the award is not so much for the fastest internet or the greatest bandwidth or the most high-tech devices. It's more about how we use technology to improve the lives of others. So again, that comes from our solar Million Solar Stars program, the urban farming program, the technology we use there. So it's technology with a purpose rather than just as a fancy thing. We do build skills and healthy practices. So things like internet safety is taught from a very young age. We have a coding program from KG2, which is taught by Samuel. And Samuel he's Spanish. He's a real computer whiz. He's a Google educator, a Google innovator. He has all these awards behind him, but he's also a warm, caring human being as well. So we're very lucky to have Samuel on our team. I'm going to hand over at this stage to Matt, who will talk a little bit about early childhood.
Hi everybody, and just to reiterate something that Graham said earlier, I really wish that I could take you around our early years department, because the things I'm going to talk about now, you would pick up instantly, I'm sure, by walking into one of our early years classrooms or our early years pods. The first thing I wanted to put up there was fun. You get a sense of that as soon as you walk into the department. Children are engaged, they're active, and they're having fun. And of course, that's necessary in early years. Children have to buy into what the activities that we're setting up for them. And, a lot of the skill of our early years teachers is choosing really engaging activities that the children have quite a lot of choice. That choice is structured by the teachers so that children engage in all of the activities they've set up for the morning. And they rotate around many of those during the day. So would be not uncommon for me to walk into a classroom and see over on one side a TA working with a group of children, so a teaching assistant working with a group of children doing some painting, for example, probably related to a book that they've been looking at recently. On another side of the classroom, children will be engaged in role play, so they'll be dressing up. It could be a shop, it could be emergency services, and the children engaging with each other in that role play. Another part of the classroom, there might be one of the other teaching assistants working with the children on cutting shapes with plastic scissors and Play-Doh, and the teacher working with another group doing some kind of maths activity. So lots of the things there are structured around play, so that the children feel as if they're playing, but of course they're learning at the same time. They're learning, as you can see on the screen there, their physical development. They are looking at early maths activities, developing their fine motor skills, their understanding of the world. And so we adopted standards, if you like, from the UK so that we can measure and track children's progress. But of course, that's all done within a fun environment. And I'm just reflecting on the last time I was down in one of our early years classrooms in the role play area. I was trying to do a lesson observation, and a little boy next to me was most insistent that he make me a pretend cup of tea. And he made, I had a cup, he was making it in a teapot and a spoon, and with plastic carrots, which was unexpected, but it was great fun, and he was very insistent that I drink it too. So it's a lot of fun down there, but the skill of the teachers is in designing the activities and then looking at the learning as it's happening, and then constructing the children's learning, building on what they've been doing that day. So it's a great, fun place to be. Care, again, as Graham said, is at the forefront of our minds, particularly in the early years. And I think we've got a video coming up, Graham, of one of our early years parents talking about what the early years is like.
My daughter has attended Fairgreen since it opened, which was about 2 years ago, almost. And it's been amazing. So our daughter was moving out of kind of lower level education anyway. We needed to find a school. And Fairgreen was just starting to build, and really about to launch right before we needed to make the jump. My husband and I are American. We were looking for an IB curriculum, and we love.
Are you driving?
Our child is full right in the community. It was an easy kind of segue for us to move from location. Our community is pretty fantastic, I have to say. My daughter with a cup of coffee in my hand, and we just walked down the spine. It was a beautiful morning, especially this time of year. And sometimes she bikes, sometimes she scooters, and we're right out there on the spine with everyone else in the community who just kind of comes alive. Right out there on the spine, it's just magical. Everything about the school is amazing for us. We love the teachers. We love what they bring into the classroom. One of the great stories I have is we went home for the summer, and our daughter, who was at the time 4 years old, started picking up trash on the street, talking about how if we don't pick up the trash and we don't recycle, that this could be eaten by birds, or they could die if they didn't have access to like healthy environment. It was just such an amazing thing. It's not something that we specifically teach at home, it's just how we live. But to know that she's being taught these major things at school is just phenomenal.
Okay, so thanks, Matt, and Kristen as well. She's a great mum, but she's actually quite typical of the parent population we have here. Our parents are very involved in their child's learning. They're very involved in the school, and they're always very welcome. We don't quite know how that's going to look when we return to campus in September, but hopefully we'll be able to maintain that sort of personal approach. Let's talk about PYP. I'm just going to check if everybody can mute themselves, please. I think we've just got a little bit of going on there. Let me just see if I can mute people instead. Okay, Dave, would you like to talk a little bit about the primary years program, the PYP?
Yeah, absolutely. As we get into some of the curriculum expectations and introducing you to the curriculum, I'm going to try and answer some of the questions that are coming up in the chat. But overall, you're on the right there. You're going to see these figures, or these the wheels that we call in the IB, in the International Baccalaureate, and they are really a visual representation of everything that we do, right? Right on the outside of them, or the third layer in, you'll see that there is the language, social studies, math, art, science, and PS, PE. Those are the ones that as adults we're kind of familiar with, right? Those are our typical classes that we had as we were going through school. The difference between the PYP, the IB, and other curriculums is that, and that's kind of a misnomer. One of the questions was, what's the difference between the IB, the International Baccalaureate curriculum, and other curriculums? Technically, the International Baccalaureate is not a curriculum. It is a curriculum framework. It's a way of teaching and a way of learning. So what we do at what we do at Fairgreen, and you'll see it down there at the bottom, the last bullet point there, is that we do teach the national curriculum from England, their national curriculum standards, okay? So that is the curriculum that we teach. The way that we teach it is through the International Baccalaureate program, which is everything else on the wheel that you see there, okay? It's the second layer that starts with sharing the planet and all those other bits and pieces. So the difference there is all of the rest of the bullet points that you see on the left, is that when you're the traditional way of delivering a curriculum is that you teach language, and then you teach math, and then you teach science and social studies. Well, it's not a fun and engaging way. History tells us that it's not as fun and as experiential if you're teaching it in isolation. So what we try to do is that we try to have this understanding of a language, but within a social studies context. And so that really gets to that transdisciplinary or multiple curriculum areas of approach to learning, is that we know that when students get older, that it's going to be really difficult to solve problems if you're just coming at it from one area of the curriculum. There's no challenges that we can solve if we're only using maths by itself, right? So that's the reason that the International Baccalaureate is much different than other curriculums, is that when you're at a national curriculum, a truly British national curriculum school, that you will go into a math class and you will go into a science class. But at Fairgreen, we kind of mix the two, and the kids may not understand whether they're going into a math class or a science class, because there is some transdisciplinary learning that's happening there. We also like to have a lot of the students' opinions in what's happening throughout the day. And that's the student's voice and choice. We understand by giving students their opinion and having them take some ownership in their education, that they may answer in a wrong way. And I use that word very hesitantly, because being wrong in something can be a learning situation just as much as being right. So we ask them to make some kind of voice or make some kind of choice, and able to support them, whether it's going to be wrong or right, okay? And then that idea of the learner profile, some of you are maybe just becoming familiar with the International Baccalaureate, and the learner profile is something that you will see in every program, in the PYP, and the MYP, in the CP, and the DP. And it's something that we believe are attributes that show and that help students become internationally minded. We ask students about being caring and open-minded. We ask them about being knowledgeable and having an open perspective to others. And if they're showing those learner profile attributes, then we would consider them being much more internationally minded. Yeah. Again, like all of these things, it would be great for you to see them. We really want you to be at the school and seeing this in action. But it's the thinking that comes out of some of the students. And the next slide is a student in grade 5 now moving to grade 6. And what we're aiming for, especially in the PYP, well, overall, is for students to be independent thinkers, for them to be critical thinkers, for them to be able to communicate their understandings. And David is just one example of many, especially as Fairgreen grows and has an influence on our students. Hopefully you'll see more students like David as the school grows. You can start the.
Thank you. This is a sort of precursor to this. These are just, you'll see an MYP student as well, and I just basically asked them some questions. There's the same questions, but there was no rehearsal of this, I promise you, and this was straight away one take. I remember when I learned to do presentations, I was probably in my late 20s or early 30s. These kids are doing it from age 5 and 6. So by the time they get to age 11, like David, they're pretty confident young people. So let's have a listen.
Hi, good morning, David. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good morning.
Nice to see you. David, can you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm David. I'm 11 years old. I'm a student in Fairgreen International School. I'm half Italian, half Hungarian.
Oh, that's an interesting mix. Excellent. Do you speak any other languages, David?
Yeah, I speak 3 languages. I speak Hungarian, Italian, and English, and I'm learning French and Arabic.
Oh, wow. So you're going to be multilingual. I'm impressed. David, what would you say to a family or a student who was thinking about coming to Fairgreen?
I think it's a really good school, and the teachers are really nice, and everyone's friends with each other. So I think it's a school that you don't want to miss experience in going to if you have the chance.
Super. And can you think of some things that make Fairgreen just a bit different?
I think it's like the school has such an amazing vibe to it, and the teachers are really nice. The students are friends with each other, and all the students feel great going to school, and that's something many schools don't have, but this school sure does.
That's great, David. Thanks. Could you pin down maybe one thing for you that is your favorite thing about being a student at Fairgreen?
My favorite thing about being a student at Fairgreen is that I feel excited going to school, and I feel excited to see my teachers, see my friends, because Fairgreen is our second home for most of the students, or even all of the students, because it's such a lovely place to be.
That's great to hear. Thanks, David. How's e-learning going, by the way?
It's going great, I think. I'm getting my work done. I get to see my friends also, so I think it's going great.
But you're looking forward to getting back to school?
Yeah. It's much better.
Me too. David, thanks very much for your time. Okay, lovely to speak to you. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so as you can see, pretty confident young individuals. I like the second home part, and that's really something that we try and stress here, is we want Fairgreen to be a home for everybody. Moving on to middle years. So PYP is up to and including grade 5. The MYP program takes on starting in grade 6. So Seema's our secondary principal. So Seema, can you take this one, please?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I've seen quite a few questions on the chat, so I'm going to try and address those as I talk to you a little bit about the MYP. So the MYP is a middle years program from grade 6 to 10, and it has 8 subject groups. So the idea through the MYP continuum is that children get a very broad and balanced education. So there was a question about the arts. Arts are mandated within the MYP. So all through from grade 6 to grade 10, they have to do those the creative subjects as well, okay? So you can see the subject groups that are there. They're on the outside. So PHE, language acquisition, which is learning a second language. Language and literature, which is English. That's what we offer at the moment. Arabic is also a language A for the children with Arab nationalities. Individuals and societies, mathematics, the sciences, the arts, and also design. What we do is within the MYP, it's really, really important that there's some sort of rigor to the curriculum. So what we teach, the content that we teach, is benchmarked to the UK national curriculum. That does not mean we are a UK national curriculum school. It just provides us with guidance to make sure that the content that's taught is grade level appropriate, and also provide some challenge for our students. So for example, I'm a science teacher. I can talk to you about a biology unit. In a British curriculum school, they may have to learn about bogs and marshes, which doesn't mean anything to our children who live in the UAE. Some of them may not have ever seen a marsh. So they're able to adapt those environmental situations to ones that are more meaningful for them. So for example, learning about swamps or deserts. So what the NYP allows is some sort of an international aspect to the curriculum. Okay. Along with the curriculum, what is another feature that David mentioned, I think all the way through the PYP, are approaches to learning. And these are really the skills that enable our children to be successful as they go through into university. So for example, time management, self-organization, being able to communicate. Those are all essential strands all the way through from the PYP into the MYP and the DP and the CP. Within each subject, there are subject objectives. Now, these subject objectives guide us as to how we assess the children. So there were some questions about exams. One of the criteria for the subject objectives could be knowledge and understanding, which may be assessed through a end of unit test, but this is only one aspect of the assessment. So other ways in which we assess the students is really through the skills. Are they able to take the content knowledge that they have learned and apply it to an unfamiliar situation? Okay. Are they able to plan scientific experiments? Are they able to look for patterns in mathematical equations? Are they able to speak well in a second language? So it's those kind of skills that are assessed. It is not just content-based, okay? The way that the NYP is different from other curricula is not so much in what we teach, it's in how we teach it. So it's really important that students have application in real life context. So their learning becomes more authentic. For example, they learn about healthy eating through working with the tower gardens and growing healthy food. Okay, they learn about the environment. We're really lucky we have access to a biodome on our doorstep. So there's just a couple of examples about the NYP. So in terms of a timetable for the students, it's like a regular school timetable. They have different subjects, but the connections that they make through those subjects and how they're assessed is different. That's what makes the IB a little bit unique. In the NYP, they also do a project, which is a personal project. Our grade 9s are embarking on that at the moment. It's a passion project. And then that project is then developed into the DP and the CP. So the NYP is a 5-year program, and then it leads on into the last 2 years of high school, which are the diploma program and the careers related program. Graham, do you mind just switching those slides, please? The next slide, yeah. It's just a little bit of a preview into what that is. Many of you will know a lot more about the DP program than the CP program. DP is is the traditional IB diploma program. You do 6 subjects, 3 of them at higher level, 3 of them at standard level. You then also do the core, which is theory of knowledge, extended essay, and creativity, activity, and service. Okay. The career-related program is one we're really excited to be offering at Fairgreen because we really feel that this provides alternative pathways for children. Diploma isn't for everybody, and also the careers-related program provides a little bit more of a vocational approach that still has that academic rigor built in within it. So our approach will be, one will be a sustainability course, a sustainability qualification, and the other one will be through the DEC program that Graham mentioned earlier. So children will have the option of those two, I guess, concepts within the career-related program. So we will apply for authorization for that next year, ready for the year after, the next academic year. Okay, I hope I've managed to answer most of the questions about the NYP in there, but there's a session at the end as well. And then now you're going to hear from Manya, one of our grade 9 NYP students.
Good morning, Manya. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, all very good. Thank you. Thanks. Manya, just tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Manya. I'm in grade 9, which is the highest grade of list right now. I'm actually Indian, and I've been here in Dubai since I was 3 years old. And I've also been at Fairgreen since day 1.
Perfect. What would you say to a family or a student who was thinking about coming to Fairgreen?
I actually think that this is a great time to join because the classes are still really small and the teachers are just great. So every student gets a lot of attention on them during classes, and the relationships between the teachers and the students is one of the greatest things because all the teachers, they pick up on all of the students' needs and learning just becomes a lot easier.
Lovely, thanks. Tell us something about what makes Fairgreen different.
Fairgreen actually focuses a lot on sustainability, which was a new topic for me because in all the other schools that I've been to, they didn't really care about sustainability, they didn't teach students about it. But when I joined Fairgreen, I started to get a greater understanding of the world and how we can function better as a community if we all play a part in it.
Sure. Anything else that stands out as being a little bit different?
Once again, I was really excited because the relationships between the teachers and students, it's like an experience that I've never had before because all the teachers genuinely care about the students' learning and it makes learning just a lot easier and better for all of the students.
That's great, that's great. How's e-learning going?
E-learning is going good, actually. I was surprised. It was a little tough at first, not gonna lie, but with all the support that we had, we realized that it's almost the same as normal class. Because the teachers are always gonna be there as soon as you ask them a question, they'll respond back almost immediately, at least for me. But yeah.
That's great. But you're looking forward to getting back to real school?
Oh, definitely. I'm actually on the volleyball team and the team captain, so I'm definitely excited to go back and meet all my friends again and join the team again.
Absolutely.
Play some matches and win for the school.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too. I'm so looking forward to it. Very last question, Manya. Could you tell me what's the one thing that is best about being at Fairgreen? Can you narrow it down to one?
Oh, that's a tough one, actually. I would actually like to say that I love being challenged here in a different way, because in all the previous schools that I've been to, being challenged is always something that was really scary and I would never put myself out there. But when I came to Fairgreen, I realized that I had a lot of new opportunities and I was shocked by the amount of support that I actually got. And I managed to overcome a lot of my obstacles like that with the support of my teachers and friends.
Sure. That's great. Thanks very much, Manya. Well, you have a great day.
No problem.
Talk to you again.
Thank you. Great to talk to you too.
Okay.
Bye.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
So I think one of the things that Manya sort of alluded to there is every child in every class should feel comfortable and confident. Dave talked about making mistakes and failing. We promote that at Fairgreen. We believe that you learn more through your failures sometimes than through your successes. So we do want children to be risk takers at every stage, at every level, and to volunteer, to have a go, even if they're not right. And we feel we've got it pretty close to right at the moment. The culture in the classrooms is definitely a can-do culture or a have-a-go culture. And consequently, our classrooms are not silent classrooms very often. There'll be times, of course, when we have to have silence for assessments and so on. But there's a definite atmosphere of collaboration, communication, sharing and questioning in our classrooms. Now we've got a chance to hear Sarah. So this is live, so there's no video recording here. So I'm really grateful to Sarah, who's offered to come along this morning and talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be a Fairgreen parent. So I think what I'll do, I'll stop my share and hand over to you, Sarah. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. And thank you for having me for this session. I was actually sitting in this similar situation 6 months ago, except we were at school, which I really think is something that makes a huge difference, because as David was saying in his video, there's a really great vibe at the school. There's this energy that's bursting and enthusiasm that you cannot really feel. But I hope that through what I'll tell you about the school, you're able to have a feel of it. So just to give you a bit of background, maybe you hear it from my accent, we're a French family. My child is in grade 2. We've been with the IB curriculum since pre-K. We started in Switzerland. We did 3 years in Dubai, and we moved to Fairgreen in January of this year. When we were looking for another school, there were 5 important elements for us. The first one was to have a very strong IB curriculum. The second was to have an international environment. The third was to have holistic learning and a balance between academics and all the other subjects that make a person whole to us. The decision-making of the school was another very important element, that it be focused on education and the children's well-being. And of course, the most important one was that our child be happy and grow as a person within the school. What I can tell you is that Fairgreen has definitely ticked all the boxes and more than that. And just to remind you, our experience is basically of 2 months on site and 3 months of e-learning since March. And still, this is very, very true, be it on campus or at home. In terms of curriculum, I think the academics level is very high. I think the supporting programs that are taught through the IB are very strong. I love the way sustainability goes within everything in the program, be it literacy, be it through the UI subjects, be it through arts or music, and this is great to see. And I love how the IB values are really embodied in the school. Whatever you see done through the school does follow the IB values, if you know them a little bit. In terms of international school, definitely a very, very international background. I don't know so many children of the same nationality within a grade level, and that shows how international. And I think in the world we live in today, it's so important because there is diversity and tolerance as a basis for everything that children experience. And I'm so happy that this is the norm for them. So when we talk about the issues of our world, they're surprised because this is not the world they see and want to live in. In terms of holistic learning, I love the balance between the time they spend on purely academic subjects and the time they spend in PE, getting their bodies moving, in arts, in drama, in music, in STEM. I really think it makes them more balanced as a person, but also body, mind, and spirit. And that for me was very key. In terms of decision-making, I think, and you've seen the leadership team, I think it's really a school where the leadership team listens. So we receive surveys that bring immediate change based on what we parents have feedbacked in terms of what we see through the school. There's a real will to change and to improve all the time, which actually not only is in the team themselves, but it's what we ask from the children. And so it's a culture overall that we see what we do and we get better at what we can do and we improve what we think we could still improve. I think the communication is really good. There's a lot of transparency about the work that's being done, the challenges that are faced, the changes that are coming. It's the first school I've been in where I've had a presentation of the teachers that are coming into the school. I've never had that before. So I think the partnership between the school and the parents is really strong, and the leadership team is very open and approachable. There are sessions where we can discuss any questions we have, and to me this is key because I know that the decisions that are being made for the children are the best ones. And in uncertain times like now, I want to trust the school that they will be able to make the right decisions for our children. But I think the secret ingredient of the school, and it was really heartwarming to see the videos of David and Manya, is the caring. I really think it's something unique at this school. The children are cared for. Their well-being comes first, And it was interesting that during the e-learning time, at a point, it was the school that reminded us that the well-being of the children is the most important thing. I think the teachers care about the progress of the children. They care about their struggles, about their needs. They care about them as individuals. And I could see it from the day one where adults were going to my child to see how he was feeling. I could see it from the welcome we have in the morning from the leadership team. I can see it in surveys that were sent to kids to know how they were feeling about e-learning, which again was a first to me. The fact that my child in grade 2 every Wednesday has a well-being Wednesday, it's his favorite day of all, where they get to talk about everything they need to learn with the well-being lens. But they also care about us as parents. And I think in this partnership, it's important. I talked about the presentations we receive to understand the way our kids learn better so that we can support them better at home. I think in this e-learning time, we've had wonderful support in webinars of how to make them more independent learner, how to help them continue to grow and thrive in this time. And overall, there's so much kindness in the school. The security team you see when you come in smile to you and you know them and they know the children. The ladies at the cafeteria, they will offer you popcorn while you're waiting for your kids. I mean, I think it's really an environment where the kids care also, where the first day of school, when there's a new kid coming in, they will take him under their wing and welcome him to make him feel good. My child didn't want to change schools because he didn't want to leave his friends. After the first day at Fairgreen, he asked me why I hadn't moved him earlier. So I think it's great testimony of how happy he is. Just one word on the e-learning experience I talked about, but I think it's our daily life for a lot of people right now. And the one thing I want to say is, at first I thought it would be a damage control kind of situation, but from day one, I have seen learning with my child. It was tough at the beginning to set everything up, but the school has been really great at adapting everything so that all of it became a better learning experience. So basically, the one thing I can say is it's a great place for kids to thrive as individuals, as learners, and as citizens, so that when we put them out into this world, as the IB says, they can make a difference in the world.
Sarah, thanks very much. You speak with such passion. I think we might have to get you a job. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And hopefully, Sarah, if you can just hang on to the end in case there are any parent questions that maybe you can help with as well. That'd be great.
Of course, of course.
Much appreciated. Thank you. It's a lovely photo too. Just some highlights from our annual parent survey. So the one thing our parents might say is, oh, please not another survey, because we've sent a lot of surveys recently about e-learning just to try and gauge how we can help our parents, how we can help our students, what the workload is like for them, how we can make that better. So I think we've sent so far 3 surveys about e-learning, but this is feedback on our annual parent survey. So we send this every May. It gives us fantastic data about how well we're doing. Maybe there are some blind spots we have, any areas we can improve on. And it's a very comprehensive survey, but I just wanted to share just some quick elements of feedback for you. I'm not going to go through them all. I'll just let you have a little look at those features there. So these are all questions about the academic program. We had 72 families respond to our survey. So obviously this feedback is really positive for us, up in the sort of high 90s. One of the most important to us is that the 4th bullet. The school places sufficient emphasis on teaching students to be responsible and caring global citizens. That's really one of the key aims of our school. Yeah, we do want them to be successful academically, but we also want them to be, as well as good students, just good people. The next slide is about leadership. One of our most important jobs as school leaders is to make sure that the mission and the vision of the school is actually a reality in the classrooms. Because we can have all these beautiful statements on our website, but they mean nothing unless they're translated into action and thoughts and deeds in the classroom. And to have a satisfaction rating of 99%, so basically the 99% are the people who strongly agree or agree, was very pleasing for us. The fourth bullet point there, I have respect for school leadership. We know we're not going to please everybody, you know, and there are some areas, just from past experience, homework tends to be one where some parents think the amount of homework is right, some think there's not enough, some think there's too much, and some of that is culturally dependent as well. But the important thing for us is that there's a mutual respect. And I think the quote at the bottom there, what we try and do is every Tuesday morning, we'll have a coffee morning, which will be focused on certain specific areas. So it might be about the IB middle years program, or it might be about early childhood. It might be about the science of care, something like that. We also, on the Monday afternoons, once a month, we have an afternoon tea and talk. And that's a totally open agenda. So parents can come and say, hey, I've got some questions or thoughts about the uniform, or the school bus service, or French teaching, or maths teaching. And we will be as transparent as possible. We might have some information to share as well. One thing that we've learned from this period of e-learning that we'll carry on is some evening webinars. We ran some evening webinars on things like how to help your child become more self-managing, and they were really popular. So we try and build our sort of learning program into for adults into parent schedules. So we have the mornings, we have the afternoons, and we'll have the evenings as well. Overall, these aren't actually percentages, these are the raw numbers. So these are the sort of big questions for us. I'm satisfied with my child's educational experience at school. 37 strongly agreed, 26 agreed, 6 were undecided, 2 disagreed, and 1 strongly disagreed. So those are pretty strong numbers for us. The school is seen positively within the wider community. 33 strongly agree, 33 agree, 6 undecided, none disagree, none strongly agree. We're very much a community school, and you don't have to live in the sustainable city to be part of the Fairgreen community, because we have an outreach program that makes sure that whether you live in a local community here or something further afield, you are included in the family. We asked how many would recommend the school to friends and family who have children. 43 strongly agreed, 21 agreed, 5 were undecided, 1 disagreed, 1 strongly disagreed. So again, that's really positive, but we're not happy until we get 100% in all of these, and that will be constantly our aim to strive towards that. And I think this is a really nice sort of quote to finish on. We love Fairgreen. Thank you to all for everything you do to make the school such a great place to be for my child and for us as parents. We can't wait for normal school life to resume, and nor can we. Still, in this unusual time, we're all the more grateful to be part of this community. Challenging times reveal true character, and we love what we're seeing at Fairgreen. So that was something that we were really happy to see, and a good one to finish on. Just before we go to questions, I'd just like to say a couple of things. This has been obviously a very unusual time in all of our lives, and my own sort of experience, I've been through all sorts of difficult situations in school, like, you know, wars, military coups, you name it, I've been through it. And there is a theory that wherever Graham goes, something bad happens. So people tend to stop following me around. But coronavirus has been something very different. And it's been great to have a very experienced leadership team to help us navigate through this situation. The one immediate difference it's made to our admissions is that because we are running these online virtual open days, it's not quite the same as showing you in classrooms. And the strongest thing, Sarah said it, and others have said it, the children said it, the best thing about this school is the relationships between parents and school, children and school, teacher and teacher, teacher and children. And that's something we can only tell you about, we can't really show you. And it's the one thing that everybody who comes for a tour of the school remarks on. That said, we are downsizing slightly the number of classes that we'll be offering. So there are more limited places than we would normally have. Therefore, there's more urgency than we've ever had before in terms of enrollment. And honestly, this is not a marketing push. This is total transparency and just a statement of how we are and where we are. If you are considering enrolling, I would please urge you to do it quite quickly, because we will be capping the number of classes. And you know, we can't control what happens with the coronavirus situation. We can't control how many people enroll. So we have to focus on the things we can control. And I would hate for children to miss out because classes are full. And as I say, as a new school, that's an unusual situation for us to be in, but it is reality at the moment in this strange new normal we're living in. Okay, so I think we've got some time for questions. So if anyone would like to pose a question, I will stop my screen sharing. And please.
There were some themes, sorry, Graham, there were some themes that came through in the chat that maybe we would want to address. One was around languages, the languages that we offer, and the after-school mother tongue program. So just to address that, so we offer French from KG1 throughout the school. As we grow, obviously we plan to add other languages too. The after-school mother tongue program, it caters to the needs and the numbers that we have in the community. So Graham mentioned already, I think, you know, we have Dutch, we have German, we have French, and others coming online. I think there was a specific question about Italian. Graham, do you know how many Italian speakers approximately we have? How many Italian families?
I don't know offhand, but I do know that I'm talking at the moment with a language agency who will be sending a survey out to our parents very soon, possibly this week, to find out what the demand is. And Italian is one of those languages that the agents are able to support us with. So that's one that we do have quite a few Italian speakers, so we expect that one to get up and running soon.
I can address one of the other themes that was coming through as well, and that was homework. So as Graham said there, you know, some parents like a lot of homework. Some of this is culturally dependent as well, others less so. Look, our philosophy around the homework in the primary school is that the formal homework, if you like, is more minimal, that we put a lot of emphasis on reading. And because, you know, we have this holistic view, if you like, about our children and their development, we like to leave plenty of time for children to engage in after-school activities and in other clubs. So we don't want to overwhelm our young children with lots and lots of homework. But of course, there are things which are beneficial to be done at home. We've got a strong reading program, which we encourage. And then there are other elements which classroom teachers would set, for example, some spelling, some word work. Those who know the IB program and know the PYP also know that there's a strong emphasis on children taking action and on one of our pillars, social responsibility. And so when children, even young children, go home and talk about what they've been learning in units of inquiry, that's a form of them taking action. And that's the kind of homework that we want to promote, where children are so engaged with what they've been doing in school, they want to further their learning at home. And of course, that's something that we try and capture as well. Seema, would you like to talk about MYP and homework?
Yeah, so with the MYP, we've tried to make sure that the amount of homework that we set is effective in terms of student learning. So it's about the quality of what the children do. So we could like to call it home learning rather than homework. And we have published a timetable that gives the students some sort of idea about which days they're going to get home learning on for which subjects on, and then the amount of time that they should be spending on each of those subjects. So it starts with 20 minutes and 2 subjects in grade 6, and then it moves up as they move higher up in the school and get ready for the diploma program. There is more of an expectation that children will complete more learning at home, but that's taken into account in terms of the balance that they get. It is an area that we're looking to really try and continuously improve, to make sure that what we're providing is really, really effective for the students, rather than the amount or the timing that it takes.
If I can just go on another strand of, there was some other questions about testing. And there was a question specifically about MAP testing and how often do we do MAP testing. And I mean, as far as the overarching question about assessment, so assessment purposes in the IB is that we use it to inform our instruction as teachers. We look at it formally, we look at assessments and the assessment results maybe 3 times a year, just to make sure that students are progressing. And we try to get as much assessment data from different angles as possible. The most formal assessment that we take, which is the equivalent, for those of you that are familiar with MAP testing, our equivalent is the GL assessment that's required by our local ministry. And so we use some of that data to help inform some of our instruction. We also use some more formalized maths assessments that are from the British National Curriculum. But then we also like to assess students in a real life application. I mean, the way that they understand and do different things throughout the curriculum really can be informally assessed by the teachers almost on a daily basis. So we're trying to take all of this different information, a mix between formal assessment data and informal assessment data, to try and get a really good picture of our students' abilities. That does include the CAT-4 assessments. I'm just seeing in the chat feature the CAT-4 assessments. Maybe we also are incorporating a PASS assessment. Maybe Graham, if you could talk about the PASS assessment.
Yeah, so when we look at children in the school, we tend to look at 3 dimensions. So one is aptitude, and aptitude means potential. Now, we're always very careful that we don't put a ceiling on potential, because, you know, we are by nature believers in the amazing things that young people do. So we believe their potential is almost limitless. But aptitude and / potential gives us an idea of what children are generally capable of. Then we look at attainment. So attainment is actually what they're achieving. And so we compare that to their potential. But the third piece in this is attitude. And we might find, for example, that the aptitude shows a real high potential. Maybe a child's not performing in terms of the attainment, but why is that? And sometimes the attitude tells us maybe they have low self-esteem, for example. Maybe they're lacking in confidence, or they're insecure, or whatever. So the PASS test, it's pupil attitudes to self and school. That fills in that missing piece about what might it be that's not allowing this child to fulfill their potential. So we tend to triangulate those 3 pieces of data, along with all of the ongoing assessments that the teachers are doing all day, every day, because really we get more valuable information from that type of assessment than we do from a standardized assessment, because children aren't standardized. You know, it's us as adults that group them into grade levels and year groups and things like that. But we basically have what we call a body of evidence that we build up over time to learn about whether children are actually fulfilling their potential. Okay, any other question that anyone has?
Matt, is there any chance that you could talk about the bullying? There was a conversation, and I know that, I mean, if there was a couple of questions that were within the chat feature about bullying, but if it's not specifically being asked, I know it's generally in the minds of a lot of teachers, and I think that's one of our really strong areas too. So, Matt, are you able to chat about that?
Yeah, I think, there's one of the big pieces of work we've done this year was around our behaviour policy. And we talk with our students a lot about rights and responsibilities. So we frame it in those terms. And there's a lot of input for the students, if you like. We're very proactive in talking to the students about what we value at Fairgreen. And so when we talk about those rights, the flip side of that is that students have a responsibility to make sure they're protecting the rights of other students as well. So while students have the right to learn, their responsibility is to make sure that other students in their class, their classmates, can also learn. So there's a heavy emphasis, if you like, on their rights and responsibilities. Those are up on the wall, so there's a lot of clarity about that for students. Now, of course, sometimes students act impulsively or transgress. If an incident arises, and it's usually dealt with by the class teacher in the first instance, but then if it's repeated, which is part of the definition of bullying, then that gets elevated to the kind of principal level, if you like. And that's where we would talk to students and their parents. We're very transparent about this kind of thing, so we would communicate with parents of all parties involved about how we would handle that moving forward. So, it's not something which is hugely prevalent at Fairgreen, but of course can happen anywhere, we know that. We take it very seriously too. We do believe that all of our students have the right to come to school and feel safe and happy. And that's something that we talk about a lot in the primary school. So the children will have heard me say that, Fairgreen is a safe and happy place. And if anything infringes on that, then children feel very comfortable to share that with their teachers and with other adults in school too. So, Seema, did you want to talk more about that from an NYP perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar in the NYP. It's really about educating children and, the rights and responsibilities may have a different language slightly for the older children, but what they mean and how the children see them is the same. So it's really referring to those and making sure that children understand that everybody has a right to come to school and feel safe and cared for and feel happy.
I know that there's a lot of questions that are coming in about tuition, school timings, and some of the Malik has been answering some of the just kind of foundational questions. There is school communication that will be sent after this as just a follow-up that'll answer a lot of those questions as well. So I think that we have addressed a majority of the questions.
Yeah, there's a quick one there about will we run Cat 4 during the pandemic? Yeah, what we tend to do is and also it's the same for children coming from overseas, they can do the Cat 4 online remotely. What we'll probably do then is when they come into school, we might get them to redo it, because sometimes they're doing it in different situations if they're at home rather than when they would be at school. Maybe there's a little brother or a little sister running around as well. So we give them the chance to do that again when they come to school. There's also a question about mobile phones. We allow mobile phones in, but once children are in school, we ask them to put them away, because now they need them for things like, some of them the older ones will go home by Uber, so they need to book the taxi home or whatever it might be. Occasionally there might be times where we would ask them to use their mobile phones to complete a survey. but generally we tend to separate them from the mobile phones for the major amount of time. Just going back to that, the purpose of Cat 4. So Cat 4 gives us, and it's slightly different at different ages. So for example, for a middle school student, Cat 4 will actually give you a predictor of how children will do further up when they do the IB diploma program. Younger, it gives you different strengths of the child, so it will tell you where their particular strengths lie. Are they stronger when it comes to numbers? Are they stronger when it comes to verbal or non-verbal? So it gives us a lot of information before the child actually starts with us. Just again, another data point for us. Okay. So do we use years or grades? We use years here. Sorry, we use grades here. We're not an American school, we're not a British school, so we have that sort of slight difference here, but we call them grades, yeah. So we go from pre-K at the moment up to including grade 9, grade 10 will come online next year, grade 11 the following year. A question about children who don't have English as a first language. Quite a lot of our children don't have English as a first language. Some come in without any English at all. And what we normally find is they develop that language really quickly. And yeah, that's not a problem at the moment at all. For pre-K, say schools are unable to open in September, what will be the way forward? Yeah, this is the $64,000 question that we're all asking at the moment. We've been given some assurances that it's almost certain that we'll be back on campus in September. So we're delighted about that. We're still waiting for the official announcement, but it's more than likely. We had an e-learning inspection last week, which went really well. But when we talk to the inspectors, that's what they're expecting as well. Either everybody back on campus, and we have the distinct advantage here of having a very big campus and being relatively small student numbers because we're so young, we're such a new school. So we can accommodate everybody and achieve those social distancing metrics while we're on campus, which a lot of other schools that are really full with big classes can't do. Probably the most likely is it'll be either everybody back on campus or there'll be a combination of back on campus and maybe some home learning or room and Zoom as the inspectors called it. But whatever it is, we're ready for that. We've got a very well established online program at the moment as well. But I think everybody would prefer to be back on campus. And yeah, there is an e-learning program for pre-K as well. It's for everybody, and it's designed to suit the needs of those different children at different developmental stages. Type of daily communication between parents and teachers is very regular. We made a decision when we opened that we were going to be an accessible school. We weren't going to be the sort of school where if you want to meet the teacher or meet the principal, you have to wait a week. And some schools we know are like that, and that's fine, but we know how important your child's education and well-being is to you. And we know that sometimes these things can't wait. So we'll always be very open and accessible to you. You don't have to put numerous gatekeepers to get to people here.
Yeah, if I can add on to that too, that we have a communication channel called Seesaw for the PYP schools or classrooms, that students and teachers will post work throughout the day, and then you'll be able to have instant access to the work that they're posting. And it's more of a reflection of the student's learning journey. So we're wanting parents to be viewers of that learning journey and just kind of be, if it's happening on a daily basis, then you'll be able to see the progress that happens on a daily basis as well. The MYP version of that right now is in a Google Classroom, so we use the Google virtual learning platform to keep you informed of what's happening with the MYP students as well.
Seema, there's a question there about homework for grades 8 and 9. Can you take that one, please?
Yes, so it's 30 minutes per subject, and they have no more than 3 subjects per day. I think it's 25 minutes for grade 8 and then 30 minutes for grade 9. Some of the subjects have longer periods of time associated with them. So for example, if they're doing design, STEM, art, more of the project-based type assessments, it may be that they have one project that goes over 2 weeks. So it depends on the subject. We also track the timings of children's assessments to make sure that they're not overburdened and all their assessments don't appear at the same time. So have an assessment calendar that makes sure that they're spread out. Sorry. 2 hours would probably be the maximum, Esther.
Length of time in classes?
So our class timings are changing next year to 40 minutes. So it could be a double lesson of 80 minutes or a single lesson of 40 minutes.
Sorry, Graham, quick question from the chat as well. Do you happen to know how many Dutch families we have at the moment?
Yeah, I believe it's 17. That might include Belgian families as well, because I've just written to all our Dutch parents about native language mother tongue classes with an organization called Language One, which will start next year. So yeah, a very healthy Dutch population.
Thank you.
Spanish families, let me think.
Quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few Spanish teachers as well. And we're expecting Spanish to be one of those languages that comes online for the mother tongue program as well, because we've got quite a lot, even though I think Malik says we have 5 Spanish families. I think we have a lot more Spanish speaking families. So yeah. So I think that's looking like roundabout it. So Greek families, yes, we do. Yeah, we have Greeks as well. Thanks, Malik. Thanks very much for your time, everyone. As I said, just to reiterate that we are sort of closing some grade levels within the next couple of weeks. So we would love you to enroll your children. We'd love to have you as part of the Fairgreen family as well. But please don't delay, because these are very different times. So thanks very much, everyone. Lovely to see you and to hopefully to respond to your questions. And we'll be in touch with you very soon. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.